Good morning, good morning. Hope everyone is well. It's Amy here for my, hopefully, Woman of the Week. We struggled last week with the tech and the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So hopefully we're going to have a bit more success this week. Really nice to see you here. If you're joining, please say hi. Drop us a comment if you're watching on replay. And I'm going to, without any further ado, bring on my guest this morning because she's here and I don't want to risk that we lose her somewhere in the ether. So let me just bring her on. I have for you today the wonderful Dr Cheryl Chapman, and I will let her introduce herself because she'll do a far better job of it than me. So hopefully she's going to come on any minute and say hello. And let's see what's going on. I did. Are you coming on, Cheryl? Is it doing anything? Drop me a message because I did click the button to let you on. So hopefully you're gonna come on. And if not, we'll start again and we'll try again.
I think we're occurring.
Hey! So it's like such a massive relief when someone pops on the screen because I've been really challenged with Instagram Live since I've started doing them with the tech and the sound and the Wi-Fi and all the possible things that that can go wrong, do and have. So,
because I was planned and organised, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll set everything up because I was just on another call this morning, and I came in and I suddenly thought, why have I set up my laptop? Because I don't think you can go on Instagram.
Can't. No, you can only do it on your phone, I think. Yeah, you might be able to do it on your iPad. I don't know, but yeah, you can only do it on your phone.
So yeah,
you're here. We're on. We're live. We're doing it. Grace has joined. So Bethany, Grace, Bethany. Nice to see you this morning. Hope you're well. So I didn't really know how to introduce you because you're a woman of so many talents. And so I thought you're probably best introducing yourself. So would you like to share with anyone who's watching or anyone who is going to watch on replay who you are and what you do? I feel like I'm hosting blind date or something.
From?
Yeah.
Okay, so I help women mainly, although I do help men, to stop asking why me and start saying why not me. And I do that through a number of ways. So I have the Find Your Why Foundation, where I help wise women, WHYS, find their why, their passion, their purpose, through collaboration, connectiveness, and creativity. And I do that along with the amazing Mazzy B. Or Lindiana Jones, as we call her, because she's always in search of ancient truths. And I also grow businesses through speaking, because for the last 8 years, I've been speaking and mentoring across the world, internationally. You know, I've got all the Blue Peter badges and a few awards and stuff like that. Yeah, and I just and all of those aspects that I do are really helping people to get over themselves, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. So my name is Cheryl Chapman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really, I just love it. I mean, my why is to help people stop saying why me, and the reason for that is because I was in that place. 10 years ago, I went to an event. I was sitting at the front row. I'd gone to see Bob Proctor, the kind of personal development guru from Canada. All the speakers appeared to be freaking male. No disrespect to the men. I mean, it's about stop bitching and start pitching, ladies. There's opportunities. It's just that there was just no women on the stage that day. And this guy came on. I thought it was a bit small, bit obnoxious, started bossing everybody about. But little did I know what was about to happen, because he looked at me and he said, if you were to die tomorrow, who would mourn your loss? I joked with the young Indian lady next to me and said, I've got 43 friends on Facebook. What do you reckon? And she said to me, well, quite frankly, I've heard if it rains, nobody turns up, and you sound like you're from the north of England, so it's probably going to be quite a fair. We were sort of laughing. And then Andy looked again and he said, if that number's small, you led a life of small influence. And I now know, looking back, it's dead easy to look back, isn't it? But I now know that kind of spoke to me on some deeper level that I haven't, even to this day, no idea how to explain. Soul, purpose, you know, agreement I made with myself before I got here, however deep you want to go. But it spoke to me on a level I've never been spoken to. So I ran to the back of the room, enrolled into the Professional Speakers Academy. And there was a bit of a standing joke at the time because I didn't have a business. My dad had fallen off his ladder as a window cleaner when he tried to have his own business. And that resulted in him breaking both his legs, and we nearly lost our house at the time. I remember Mother being really panicky about that. So I didn't have a good association with even having your own business. So it wasn't on the agenda. And so someone did say to me, what are you doing here? If you don't have a business and you don't even have any plans to have a business, what are you doing at the Professional Speakers Academy? And I was like, oh, that's dead easy. I'm trying to find friends for my funeral. You know, I mean, that was still the standing joke today. So I remember, you know, reaching 5,000 people on Facebook. I mean, I had no idea who half of them were, but, you know, that it seemed to be the holy grail to get there. And now, I mean, I know thousands and thousands of people personally. I mean, I did worry a little bit about dying in COVID, because if only 6 could come to my funeral, it felt like the last 8 years had been a bit of a waste.
A bit of a waste of time, yeah.
Doing those things. But I found my passion. I found my purpose. You know, and it really, you know, it gets me out of bed in the morning instead of just having to go for a wee. You know, because I genuinely just believe if you don't know what your why is, if you don't know what your purpose is, you'll probably end up living somebody else's. You know, and at the time back in the day, you know, my 2 best friends were Gordon and Stella, and that of course is Gordon's gin and Stella Artois. I've been sober now for just over 6 years. I can't even imagine what it must be like to wake up with a slight headache, let alone a hangover. Although, to be fair, I probably wasn't waking up with a hangover because I just kept on drinking anyway. So, you know, but I've got more clarity. And with clarity, I think, comes confidence. I meet amazing people like you, Amy, you know, and the lovely women, you know, and life's good. You know, what more can I say, really? I mean, I have down days, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, oh, yes, everything's fucking wonderful all the time. Because, you know, there are some days when you know, I do question myself. But that's life, isn't it? You know, if everything's brilliant, there'd be no contrast.
And I think if you didn't question yourself from time to time, you would never grow. You would never kind of move on to that next thing. It's those questions that give us some new answers, and it's those questions that help us move forwards and maybe leave behind some stuff that's not working for us, or move into some new space because we've worked out that there's something different, because we're not meant to just stay in the same spot, you know, all our lives, aren't we? We're all meant to grow and move forwards and learn and develop, and that's the beauty of it. And it's when you get stuck in that rut that you feel like you've got no purpose, that you feel like, what on earth am I getting out of bed for today? Whose life am I living? And what's the freaking point in that? So, you know, it's really valuable work that you're doing for lots and lots of people. And I met you at one of your speaking gigs because I had recently left my job and was really wanting to learn how to find my voice. I'd worked in a huge system, working in the NHS, where you're just this kind of tiny little busy worker bee or little ant scurrying around doing all the work for everyone else, and no one really kind of seeing you or recognizing you. And to go from that to thinking, right, I'm going to have my own business, but shit, you know, what is that? Like, what is it? What do I do? And how do I show up? And how do I speak? And what have I got to even say? And who's going to listen? And all these kind of doubting questions. And I saw your event come up about, it was Grace the Stage, wasn't it? It was about getting more women speaking their truth and more women standing and speaking up. And I've gone from this, well, people who know me won't call me shy and quiet, but certainly kind of showing up in public to people who don't know me gave me the absolute fear. And, you know, now I'm sat here on Instagram Live. I'll happily go on your Facebook Lives in your group, go on my own Facebook Lives. I don't say I don't get a little bit of nerves, but that's normal, isn't it? That's just normal. But through working with you and working on your program and being given that opportunity to show up in some of those groups in a really safe space has given me that confidence to talk live and to be here and to encourage other women to be sharing their stories. And it's part of what I'm doing now is helping other people share their stories, because we've all got a story to share. We've all got something in us, something that we've overcome that is useful and inspiring to other people. And also in telling our stories, it helps ourselves as well. So that's why I've set this kind of weekly session up. Yeah. But you've got a whole kind of the credibility for me being sat here today, not the credibility, that's the wrong word, but I can't think of that. I can't grasp onto that word, you know, when your mind goes blank. Oh, what am I trying to say? But the reason I'm here now and able to do this is really through a lot of the work that I've done with you and Maz in that group, and getting up there and having a go, and actually not caring so much if it goes wrong, if I forget a word or look a bit daft, or it doesn't really matter, does it?
Because life, like, you know, we're not actually living in a soap opera. I mean, it might feel like it sometimes with the kind of stuff that's going on, but you know, the reality of it is, me and me were just having a coffee and nobody was watching this, you know, occasionally I'd go, oh, I can't remember that bloody word. What's the bloody word I'm looking at? Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. You know, we do that. That's life, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that what happens is, you know, you put somebody in front of a camera or on a stage, and suddenly it's a different ball game. Everybody is a public speaker. We speak in public every day. So, but when you put an audience, and the reason for that, I genuinely believe, is because of the fear of judgment.
Completely.
You know, it all goes back to like when you were a kid at school, you know, if you stood up and you started reading a word and you started stuttering, everyone's giggling, and eventually the teacher says, sit down. And so the mind goes, oh, the last time we were in a situation like this, when you messed it up, you got out of it. So it goes, let's mess it up, you know. And then you know more about the way that the body works than I do. But, you know, the fight or flight comes in, you know, the cortisol's running around the body. It thinks it's being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger. And quite frankly, I've seen some really beautiful audiences, experienced some beautiful audiences, and I've seen occasionally someone who would resemble a saber-toothed tiger, but as it is of yet, they've not been able to eat me alive. So, you know, there's always, it's just life, isn't it? And so I just say, change the word judgment to opinion, because everybody's got an opinion. You know, when the people who've just joined us on here, all these lovely souls who are giving up their precious time, you know, they will have had an opinion of you or me. If they know you already, they'll have probably looked at me. They could have said, oh, look at her hair, her fringe ain't straight, is it? Like I'm just having an opinion on myself now. Or, you know, what's going on behind? Like, we all have an opinion. You know, when you come and say, I thought, oh, her hair looks nice. You know, I mean, like, we can't help it. So that is life. The big thing to get over really is, when you learn to be yourself, and I know that sounds a bit of a weird thing, but you do have to learn to be yourself. I remember when I first started speaking, for some bizarre reason, one went to speak like this, you know. I mean, I was once about thinking that I had to sound like, and I remember my husband saw a video of me and he went, what's with voice? And I was like, what? He went, oh, this la-di-da-di-da. I went, well, one's not a trained speaker, is one? And it was only when my mentor at the time said, I don't quite know what's going on with your voice, Cheryl, because when you sit next to me, you're all Yorkshire pudding. And when you get up on stage, something changes. And I had to learn how to speak like what I do off stage. Weird. I had to even get a technique in my head where I went E by gum. And I knew if I went to gum, then I could speak Yorkshire. But I had to force myself, retrain myself to be me. And I remember the first time that I went on stage and I didn't feel like I'd gone into this sort of higher pitch. It's panic, really, because the breaths come up here. I'm trying to, you know, be perfect, poly-perfect. It's never going to work. And I remember the first time that I sort of, you know, vaguely remember not doing that posh voice, and a woman come running up to me when I came off stage, and she said, oh my God, Cheryl, you're incredible, you're amazing. You know, I'm still looking behind me thinking, is she talking to me? Oh, she did say Cheryl, it must be me. And she said, you know, until I met you, Cheryl, she said, like, I thought I was too old, too fat and too ugly, but now I've met you, I think it's possible, you know. And I was like, I think that's a compliment. And she went, oh my God, what I mean is, you know, like, you're just real, you know. And that is a compliment for someone to just say, like, you're authentic and real, because you just have to get to the stage where if people like you, they do, and that's great. And if people don't care for you so much, that's all right too, because you can't be everything to everybody. So you can only do your best, give your best in any given moment. And as long as it comes from your heart, you know, and it's like, I just want to help some people. Some people don't see it. I was totally trolled the other day on a video that I did that was about, a possible opportunity to create some income. And oh my gosh, I just put a comment after all the troll things. And I just said, isn't it very interesting to see human nature in action? I can see compassion. I can see love. I can see, you know, fear. I can see anxiety. I can see all walks of life here, you know, for people that are giving me a thumbs up and people who are giving me a thumbs down. But the reality is, it says more about them than it does about me. So what can you do? You can just share your truth. I'm passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I know that, you know, I love my clients, and, you know, and hopefully my clients, you know, love me, and it's a win-win all round. But for some people, they don't see it. And I'm not, what was the saying I heard the other day? Don't try and sell tickets for the ark, just build it.
Yeah, and the people will come if they want rescuing, if they want saving. Yeah, yeah, it's a good phrase, that. And I like what you say about judgment. And I think, you know, we all suffer with that, don't we? It's part of human nature to judge or to have an opinion. I mean, that's what's kept us safe from that saber-toothed tiger, because we have to judge situations all the time. Is it safe? Is it not? Is that person safe? Is it not? And having good judgment can save your life, you know, and about who you choose to kind of be around, or if you choose to trust someone or not. You're always working that out, and that's part of our brain's kind of natural ability of what it does to keep us safe and keep us alive. That's what the brain is there to do. It's just there to keep us safe and keep us alive. But we then create all these opinions and judgments, not only about other people, but about ourselves, that paralyze us in this kind of analysis paralysis, this fear of doing anything for the fear of judgment or someone else's opinion. And I think that lesson about really letting go of that and just accepting that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea and not everyone's going to love you, and that's fine, is really important. But it's really hard to learn, and it's really hard to remember sometimes, isn't it, when you're trying to be all things to everybody, and that the right people will find you and the right people will come to you if that's what you want them to do. And certainly when I met you, the fact that you were Northern and Yorkshire, and you had a wicked sense of humour, and you made me laugh, and you were real, was what was part of the appeal of, like, yeah, this is a funny woman. She's standing up there. She's got some shit to share. She's been through some stuff. She knows the stuff, and she's got a business, and I think she can help me. You know, and that's all it is, isn't it? So for me, it was just a no-brainer to kind of come in and be part of your tribe. And, you know, they say that you want to kind of be around the people that are going to almost kind of up level. I mean, you've got mentors and coaches and people who are helping you up level, and anyone who's in business, you need to be around people who are kind of at the next level than you are at, because otherwise who do you learn from, and who do you role model, and how do you know what to do if you're just doing what you've always done, or learning off people who aren't even trying to do what you're doing? So it was
you do that. It's like they speak a different language, you know. I mean, you know, to be fair to my husband, you know, even though, like, when I first joined the Speakers Academy, he was like, are you sure they haven't got a shut the fuck up course? Because, like, I don't... And I was like, it's different. You know, and at first he was a little bit, you know, he didn't know. He hadn't been to the presentation. He didn't get that emotional connection that I got. There's no way I could sell him on that emotional connection, because that was my own connection. And luckily, you know, after a couple of husbands, I decided that I'd never have a joint bank account again. So, you know, I didn't have to go to him and say, is it okay if I spend this money? I mean, like, forget that shit. You know, I'm buying me shoes. I'm buying me clothes. I'm booking the holidays for us. I might as well book what I want, you know, myself as well. And you know, I remember the first time we went on holiday, and we just cruising. It sounds so wrong because it sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? But you know, cruising was what kind of our go-to, just because I get bored really easily. So I like to see somewhere different every day, or, you know, sunbathe and everything. And I remember I was able to, like, upgrade us and do little things. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, oh, it's all right, this speaking shit, isn't it? You know, suddenly he was a raving fan. Do you know what I mean? But going back to the judgment, I mean, it really is, you know, it's in our DNA, because if we got judged by the tribe, and you know, they kicked us out of the tribe, at the time we would die. So that's still in it. So it is very difficult to just go, do you know what, this is me. But trying to be somebody else, well, one, I don't have the mental capacity to remember what I've said if I'm not really being me. You know, it's so much easier to just say it as it is, you know, be honest. It's your opinion, you know. Somebody else can have a different opinion. That's fine. You know, that's how debates start, you know. And as long as we're open to it, rather than being closed about other people having opinions and go, no, actually, oh, I said, yeah, well, I mean, that's totally different from mine, but thank you for sharing. Do you know what I mean? I can see that you're really passionate about that. That's kind of where we go, isn't it? So,
yeah.
So I'm glad.
And not only did you join the Speakers Academy, you then became really successful as a speaker. You didn't just join, like, you know, and not do the work and piffle paffle about in it and go, it's not for me. You went all in, full in, and you've had great success with that, haven't you? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I started being a speaker. I thought I was really good, actually, because I'd done Anne Summers pies, so I'd stood in front of crowds that were difficult, like drunk crowds. And I remember the first time I stood up, this lovely lady called Andrea Hook Sangster, she stood up and she said, oh, this, that and the other. She went, oh, and nice boots and nice scarf. And I went, oh, thank you very much. And then I started to volunteer as a coach. And I was in one of these sort of pre-meeting things, pre-team meeting sort of thing, pre-session team meetings. And someone said, what do you do if somebody's really shit? Because like you can give feedback, but like if they're really, and then one of the women said in the group, well, you have to find something. In the very first presentation, you have to find something because you want to motivate them, like keep them, motivated. Something like, you like the dress they're wearing or something. And I just looked at Andrea and I went, you told me that I had nice boots and a nice scarf. And she went, yeah, you were shit. So I really wasn't particularly great. And then I just practiced. And what happened was Andy Harrington was sitting on stage one time. I'd been around him for about maybe 6 months at this stage. I'd gone down to London, gone to every event. I really tried to immerse myself in it. There was something about him that he just kind of got me, if that makes sense. There was something, it was almost like he knew something that even I didn't know about myself. And he was on stage. I was stood at the back of the room and he said, listen up at the back because I'm going to take this global and I might need some of you to do this. And I thought, that's why I'm here. Because I now know, and we have this system where there are 5 different types of people in the world. And I'd already worked out that I was what's called an architect. So I like planned, organised strategy. If you know DISC profiling, I'm a triple D. I'm all about, action, doing, a bit of the experience. But the main thing for me is the results. So
that's not your bra size.
Not my... Unfortunately. So I started to help him and support him. And if you like, I became an integral part of growing his multi-million-pound business because I helped to create the coaching arm. He gave me clients overnight before I was ready. I mean, he had more faith in me than I did at the time. And that's, I really take that forward with anybody that I work with. If you haven't got faith in yourself, borrow mine in you. Because I know it's possible, because I've been there and I've been shit, and I've been on stage when my mouth's been dry, my knees have been knocking, genuinely been knocking. Do you know what I mean? I've been there, I've done that, I've wore the T-shirt, I've forgotten all the words, I've had a frontal lobotomy in front of an audience of 200, and all the rest of it. And he gave me, he had the faith in me. So I've coached thousands of people, for him. And then subsequently, it's kind of like, well, hang on, if I could do this for somebody else, I'm sure I can do it for myself, as well. And he supported me with Grace the Stage as well. So I'm very grateful, for what happened there. And at the same time, it's a great working relationship because, I've helped him build his business too. And I found my passion, and so that's why now I say I grow businesses through speaking, because, if you're not seen and you're not heard and people don't know who you really are, you're never going to grow your business. You'll just be the biggest secret ever. And that's why I did the TEDx talk, event. That's why I did the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge event, where people can share about their passion and who they are. Because the more people hear you talk, they're either going to go, well, that's a load of shite and doesn't resonate with me. Or they go, oh, my God, there's something there. And maybe they want to move towards, buying a book or doing an online program. I mean, today I've just, launched a new Find Your Why Foundation. It's £250 for the year. And we invest that money, so there's a potential that you can make money while you sleep.
I know, I was listening to you this morning. It sounds like a really clever idea and a really clever way to build that business, because like you said this morning, you're putting your money in and you're getting something back for that money from the membership in terms of all the personal development. But then there's also this secondary part to it where you have that money invested on your behalf and it grows. That's the what I've got from this morning. And have I kind of captured that correctly?
Yeah. Because the reason for that is because there's so much shit that shows up when you do something new, and it showed up for me. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, well, will this work and won't it work? And what if I lose my money? And all this kind of stuff comes up on the back of that. So it's like, well, how can I help want to take that risk away. So you invest in myself and Maz. We give you, you know, your £250 worth of support and mindset and, you know, just being around us, you know, and opportunities, and, you know, occasionally we'll have a party and you'll be invited to it, you know, and all that stuff. And you get community and collaboration. And then what we do is we take our money that you gave us and we're going to put it into something that we believe will potentially create an income. So we've taken all that fear of you losing your money or it not working out, and we're doing it on your behalf. And that's because the Find Your Why is a passion project. I mean, that's where we've come to this week. You know, Maz is retiring and moving to Mexico for 6 months of a year to swing in a hammock or whatever it is that she wants to do. Do you know what I mean? And so we're still able to deliver content online and support people when they need it. You know, so it is what we love. We really do love it. And at the same time, I want people to be able to witness firsthand and experience, you know, a positive benefit from something that they would never consider because fear gets in the way.
Definitely. I love it. I love it. I was watching a training or a webinar the other day, and this guy was talking about, you know, when you're building your online course or building your online business, think about what you want to charge and then add a zero, and then think about all the things you would want to deliver to make it worth that much. And that's what you need to deliver, but you then take the zero back off. And you're kind of doing that, but you're then still kind of putting the zero on in terms of there is the potential to actually receive some financial kind of reward from that investment as well.
I think about, you know, how much I've invested in myself. You know, oh my God, there have been some scary moments. I mean, absolutely papping myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, oh my gosh, if this doesn't work. And, you know, sometimes things didn't work. However, I always learned from it. I learned to go with my instinct. You know, if I overrode my instinct, and most people, 70% of the world have got a gut instinct, as you know, and when you go against that gut instinct, oh my God, we get into our heads and we start to create bloody fors and against lists. You know, it's a waste of time because it comes from the same brain. So this brain is designed to keep you safe. It doesn't like new things. You know, I train with the amazing Marissa Peer. The mind loves familiarity.
Yeah, and patterns.
Yeah, why would you do anything different? We're alive. Don't do anything new. It does what it thinks you want. So if you're a bit fearful, it's going to talk you out of it. And what was the other thing? So it's familiarity. It does what it thinks you want. Oh, and it tries to keep you safe. I mean, that's pretty much where we are with that. You know, and I've been there so many times. And so it's just about appreciating that I can be honest about that. You know, even with this, you know, this scheme that we're doing now, you know, I sat there and I was like, this is weird. What is coming up here? Like all this fear and everything. And I've got a life manifesto on my wall. And if I don't have my glasses on, I can only see the big letters. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh, that's interesting. Life is for living. Life is short. Take risks. Do it now. And I was like, well, thank you, universe, God, Allah, whatever, the sign, the fairies, the pixies, whoever you, or whatever you want to believe in. But for me right now, that was speaking to me. And so, you know, it's just sometimes just quieting that mind down and just going with whatever, you know, is right for you right now. Do you know what I mean? And so far it's proved very profitable. And it means that I don't have to worry so much about getting an income from the foundation now. You know, I can still do other things to create an income. I can still work one-to-one with people. I can still do my speaking, you know, because that is a tangible skill that people are learning. But when it comes to the foundation, that's more, you know, about mindset and who you are. And there's lots of tangibles as well, of course. But, you know, in essence, it's just helping my why, which is to stop women asking why me. You know, and so it all fits with the why and the purpose. And I love it. What more can you do? You know, it's great, isn't it? Life's good.
And it's amazing how things evolve and where things take you to, isn't it? Through opening up and letting go of that fear and opening yourself up to these experiences and new people and new opportunities. Because without doing that, you would just stay stuck where you were and not really knowing why you feel stuck or why you feel fed up or why you feel like you're not really on purpose or living the life that you're meant to live. Because that fear is holding you back from taking those opportunities.
Yeah. And if you think about, you know, I mean, you know, we've been on a little journey together, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? And you've been on a big journey yourself. Do you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, you know, those moments when you think, well, what am I getting out of bed for today? Like, what is the what is the point? You know, why am I here? You know, and then, you know, if you're forcing yourself to go somewhere just because it's the money that puts the food on the table, hey, I get it. You've got to eat. You've got to have a roof over your head. Do you know what I mean? You know, we have to create an income in some way, but like doing something that you don't like every day, day in, day out. You know, I remember you sharing your story, Amy. You know, when it just got to the stage where you almost became numb.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Just being surrounded by all that kind of distress and suffering and death, and so serious and heavy every day, and just so hard to cope with that and process that. And I've spoken about how I kind of would box it off with these little boxes in my brain with all these people in, with all these patients that I'm really fond of and develop really lovely relationships with, and then they go and die on me. But that's, you know, I worked in cancer care, so that's, you know, I should expect it. But it was hard, and I got to a stage where I would just box these experiences off and put them in these little boxes and almost shut that grief off, because I hadn't got time to grieve. I hadn't got time to process it, because you know what? There was 40 other people sat in their waiting room all wanting a bit of me, and you couldn't do it. And it was only when my dad died and I was putting that in its box and feeling numb and kind of wondering what that was all about, that I started to kind of unpick these boxes and unpack them a little bit and take these people out and talk to them and honour them and almost grieve for them. And I've done that over the last 2 or 3 years, in terms of all these memories and all these experiences that I've had over the last 20 years that have come out, that I've allowed to come out and allowed to process and allowed to kind of weep. Sometimes I don't know where it comes from. I sit in my office and I just weep because I've had this memory of somebody that I've looked after, or an experience that I had that was particularly traumatic. And when I see the healthcare staff at the moment and everything that they've been through, God, you know, there's some work to do there to help those people, because how you cope with that, it's tough. It's really tough. So yeah, I think but doing that work just releases you then. It puts you more in touch with yourself. It enables you to put you more in touch back with other people, because you're more open to it, because you've got something to give back then as well.
And I think the great thing about what you do, Amy, is the fact that, you know, you recognize that, you know, so you became aware of that there was something wrong. You know, so many people go through life like in the Matrix, as I put it. You know, they don't realize. You know, I was the same, you were the same at the time. But now you've got that and you recognize it and you've done the work on you. Now you know that you can help so many other people because of that experience. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, at least all that pain and suffering wasn't for nothing. Because at least you can now bring that and help somebody to either get out of the same pain where you were, or avoid that pain completely, because you can say, well, oh, if you're going down this track, you know, and you can do it with love and heart and from experience, because it matters. Because when you look back on yourself, you go, oh my God, like that was tough. You know, I'm in like a really bad place. And I don't want anybody to go through that. Nobody should have to go through that. And, you know, and then that's when your why and your purpose and your passion come into play, because now you go, okay, I get it. Again, I'm looking back and I'm going, that's why that happened. That's why this happened, because it brings me to this place here today so I can serve.
Exactly. And this is what I ask all of my kind of guests who come on, in terms of when we're thinking about the challenges or the difficulties that we've overcome in life. As hard as that is to go through, you know, you really wade through the shit at that time and you can't see a way out. When you get out of there and you look back with the perspective and the benefit of hindsight and thinking about what you've learned and all of that, you know, there's so much to be taken from that you can then use moving forward. And so what have you learn or taken, or what is the main message from all of your kind of experiences? And I know we've not really spoken about some of those things that you've experienced and some of those hardships and difficulties and challenges, but of course, like everybody, they're there and I've heard them and I know of them. But what are the main lessons that you have learned and you would like to now share with the world?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I've learned is that you are what you think. Because whatever you focus on, whether or not you believe in the universe, law of attraction, you know, God, Allah, whatever that is, you know, there is this kind of understanding that we are on a radio wavelength, you know. So if I'm tuning into Radio 1, I'm getting Radio 1. If I'm tuning into Radio 1, but I'm slightly getting a bit of Radio 2, I'm getting a bit of a mixed message. And so what we're tuning into is what you get. So if you get up in the morning and you think you're going to have a shit day, you're pretty much a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know. And likewise, if you get up and you go, do you know, I'm going to have a good day today, because it's just the frame that you get up in. So I'm going to have a shit day today. Oh, bang me foot. Oh, my God. That's it. I knew I was going to have a bad day. And it's just a series of events, isn't it? You know, I've had those days. You know, I still have those days. And then there are other days that, oh, everything's going to be great. And you bang your foot and you go, oh, you ninky nonk, you know. And we say hurtful, harmful words to ourselves far more than we would do to anybody else. You know, silly cow, whatever. You know, so I've changed it to ninky nonk just because it makes me smile, or silly Billy. But the reality of it is, if you think you can, then you can. And if you think you can't, then you can. You know, and there's so many beautiful affirmations by, I think that was Henry Ford, you know. So it's just true, because, you know, my parents came from quite a humble background, you know. I mean, my dad's mum died before my mum and dad got married. He was a bastard child, you know, which back in the 60s was a big thing. My mum's dad left her. My grandmother was schizophrenic. I mean, she did commit suicide in the end. So they came from tough backgrounds. And you know, for where I am now, and I know it's not about materialistic things, but, you know, I look at where I live. I'm absolutely blessed to live in a beautiful space. I lived in a beautiful space before. I was able to invite people to my home, do you know what I mean, to do some work with them. And yet there is no reason why I should have what I've got, if that makes sense. There's no logical reason, other than the fact that I knew I had a vision in my mind that I wanted to have a space where I could bring people so I could help them and support them. And that was always my intention. So that when I walked into the last place, you know, you came to the barn. When I walked into the barn, I was like, I've already been here. Because in my mind, it wasn't exactly the right house. I'm not a John Asraf, you know, from the Law of Attraction. I went, oh my God, and it was the same house on my board. You know, like, you know, it's not quite that. I'm not that good at manifesting, but we are manifestors. We manifest the life we want, because if you want something, you will do whatever you can to achieve it. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what you know, what your background is, what your experience is. You can create a life that you really, really want. And ultimately, that comes from a feeling that you have. So I say to everybody, as you know, when we used to do the 3-day events, I'd say, right, so you've come here to find your why. So that's your passion and your purpose. So let me tell you what that is. It's to be happy. Great. What are we doing for the rest of the 3 days? Well, the answer is you've got to understand how to identify what that is. And I believe it's a feeling. And my personal feeling is a ready, brett, glow. And when I'm on purpose and I'm doing what I love, I've got like this ready, brett, glow, like from the advert feeling. And I know it's right. And if I feel like a cold, wet fish, guess what? Change it. So you're in charge of your own destiny. If you don't like the feeling that you get on a daily basis, do something about it. You are in charge of you and your destiny. That's my biggest realization, because you're not what anybody else thinks of you. You're not, you know, anybody else's opinion of you is none of your business, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You are an amazing, empowering, awesome human soul having a human experience, and anything is possible. Anything is possible if you put your mind to it.
Definitely. Thanks, Cheryl. And I just think, again, that comes back to the fear and other people's expectations, and the fact that people don't follow that. They put so many blocks and barriers in the way. And I see that a lot with some of my clients, you know, in terms of, oh, I'll just wait till I retire, or just wait until I'll enjoy myself on my next holiday. And you think, life's too short. Don't be waiting for the next holiday or until you retire. It could all be piff, puff, puff tomorrow. You just got to, like you say, live, love, laugh every day. Because I've seen too many times, you know, sat in that consulting room with someone going, it's not fair. I've worked so hard and I've just retired and now I've got this diagnosis, and, you know, and they're dead in 6 months. And life's too short. It happened to my dad. He was fit. He was well. He was planning his retirement. He always worked bloody hard throughout his life. Really worked hard. Was planning his retirement. Not retiring. He would never retire, but slowing down a bit. You know, he got sepsis. He was dead within 48 hours. life's too short. You've got to go after what you want and what you dream. And if it's not right, work out what it is you want and go after it, even if it's bloody hard work and it puts you outside your comfort zone and you're frightened and you're not sure what you're doing. There's people there to help you, and that's why Cheryl's on this world, on this earth, to help people like you. That's why I'm here. You know, there are people to help you, and the biggest investment you can make is in yourself. Definitely. I've done it. I've spent thousands on personal development, business development, mentoring, coaching. Cheryl's done it. Anyone who is kind of made big changes invests in themselves in some way or another. I'm not saying you have to invest thousands and thousands, as you can find coaches and mentors and people to help you that don't cost thousands and thousands. You know, you just have to find someone that gets you and that you feel like you can work with. So
exactly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had the benefit, in some respects, this sounds a bit weird, of having a lot of people die young in my family. And I was petrified of dying, mainly because I don't like missing out on stuff. Do you know what I mean? It was like, you know, oh, I'm going to miss out on what goes on. But my cousin Lindsay was the reason why I created the Live, Love, Laugh Lives and the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge, because, you know, she was 27. From the age of 5, we knew she was going to die young because she had cystic fibrosis. You know, even as 11, I remember going to Manchester, Booth Hall it was called, and I walked in and she said, I said, oh, what's this on here? And she goes, oh, this is my friend, she's dead. This is my friend, he's dead. This is my I'm like, she was like about 8, maybe even younger, actually 8 and 9, and she knew, do you know what I mean? And she was showing me. I was like, you know, like trying not to bloody choke up. Oh yeah, she's dead, she's dead, she's dead. Oh yeah, oh, she's still alive, but she's been very poorly. Do you know what I mean? And that was the life she lived. But she gave me so much through that journey, because when they said to her, if you have a baby, you'll die. You know, and she said, I'd rather have 5 minutes of wonderful than a lifetime of regret. And she gave birth to our Jordan. He was £2 1 ounce. He was in intensive care. She was in intensive care. Her mum and her sister had a car accident on the M62 on the way home, and her mother was in intensive care. And you know what? They all survived. Lindsay had a double lung transplant, and she had 5 beautiful years with our Jordan, who's now a 6'4" in the Navy, proper lad. Do you know what I mean? Built like a brick shithouse. And you know, she had 5 more years, and on her deathbed, she said, you know, I just want you to make sure that you live, love, and laughs every day, because you're right, life's too short. I mean, I have a saying downstairs that says, don't take life too seriously. Nobody gets out alive. So, worry about so many things, and the reality of it is the biggest risk we have is not living a full and happy life. Stop fucking compromising your existence. You know, it's about doing everything you possibly can to have a brilliant life, you know, and that doesn't necessarily mean multi-millions or anything. It's just feeling satisfied and happy, you know, every day. Because if you're not, it's another moment lost. And you're right, you know, God forbid that anything happens like happened to your dad. In 48 hours, if I thought I could be dead, what the fuck would I do? Well, I'd probably still be talking to you right now, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what would you do if you knew that your time was short? Because our Lindsay knew her time was short, and she didn't fuck about with the trivial, as you put it, piff paff puffs. If that makes sense. So, you know, I still talk about her to this day. She's been with me around the world because she truly inspired me and inspires me to just help other people to just go, just fucking do it. And the fear will come. And the shit will show up. You know, be in a group, you know, like get around some people who know and go, yeah, I've been there, or I was there yesterday. Not people who go, oh, yes, you know, well, I think I remember what it was like to be in fear. Fuck that shit. Get around people who know what it's like and who are real, who can say, yeah, I know, like, what can we do? You know, like, let's hold out each other's hand and support each other, because life is fucking short. Absolutely, Amy, 100%.
Life is short, and sometimes it's shit, but sometimes it's glorious, and that's life. And let's just celebrate it all.
What does Maz say? Maz says you need the shit to grow the roses.
That's exactly it. Definitely. Definitely. Well, listen, thank you so much for talking to me this morning. I could probably talk to you for another hour. I think it's just really, really nice to listen to you and to chew the fat and to share our thoughts. If anyone wants a bit more of Cheryl and what she's up to, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, if they go to www.findyourwhyfoundation.com/membership, And if the site's not quite ready, that's just because we're updating. So just come back, or you can contact me directly at cheryl@cheryl-chapman.com.
And the other arm of your business is your speaking, training speakers, isn't it? Is kind of encouraging people to speak up, and especially women, helping get more women up and speaking.
Yeah. So I'm growing businesses through speaking, but that could still be the fact that, you might just have a presentation to do at work, you know what I mean? And you want to. So again, cheryl@cheryl-chapman.com. Even if you just want to have a conversation, let's see what there is, see if we can help you, point you in the right direction. If it's not me, I probably know somebody else. I know quite a lot of people. You don't get to nearly 60 and not know many people when you've been doing what I'm doing.
Thank you. So Cheryl Chapman hyphen. I tried to mess that up. I couldn't remember.
People say, is it Cheryl or Cheryl? And I always say, well, you see, the thing is, if it was Cheryl, which is what my mother calls me, I got married to a Chapman, so it would be Cheryl Chapman, which is a bit. So it's Cheryl Chapman. So it's cheryl@cheryl-chapman.com.
Okay. Well, we'll put it in the chat box, in the comments box below as well, and obviously you're all tagged on Instagram, so people can find you over there as well.
Lovely.
Lovely. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time, and thank you to anyone who's come and joined and listened this morning. Some of the comments here: inspirational, insightful interview. Jane is saying just what I needed to hear this morning. So I'm really pleased that that's offered some inspiration and help and support to those who need it. That's what this little chat every week is all about. So please come and join me next week. I think we're trying again with Wendy Snedden next week. We had a technological failure last week, so we're going to try again next week with Wendy. So please come and join me. And if you're catching up on replay, then please put some comments below. That would be lovely. And hopefully I will be speaking to Wendy next week, so I'll see you then. Take care, Cheryl. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.